Hello and welcome to an amazing podcast. This is DM Modi, and we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen episode 3 and 4. And wow! I don't know what it was, whether it's just like the quality of the show or the fact that I just like had a moment to just sit down and stew on it, or if the show's just out of that sort of setup period and it's in like the full swing. But I feel like my feelings for the show just skyrocketed super hard.
I'm so glad to hear that. Because I was really wondering, like, the show's really started to come together now, and I was wondering if you were going to hate it more or start to like it.
Honestly, let me say this. If this pulled a God of High School, I would not nearly be as hard on it as I was with God of High School. Furthermore, I do not. I don't see it crashing and burning right now. Because the writing and everything leading up to this point has been so top notch.
Yeah.
I feel like this. I want to say this is probably the most competently written recent shonen series.
What do you mean by recent?
Like
Like, how many years? Because
2010s.
there's Demon Slayer, there's My Hero.
Okay. If we're comparing it to,
I mean, I meant to say The Promised Neverland, not Demon Slayer.
oof, that's okay. I think in the last 10 years, Promised Neverland and Jujutsu Kaisen are probably like my top tier shonen series in terms of writing. My Hero
Yeah.
comes second, and then Black Clover and okay, if I had to rank them, top tier are Jujutsu Kaisen and Promised Neverland tied. Second tier would be My Hero Academia. Third would be Boruto. Fourth would be Black Clover, and then final would be Demon Slayer. And that's just like writing quality, not counting everything else.
Okay, I see.
Because
I can't wait till Chainsaw Man comes out. I feel like that'll also be near the top for you.
like I keep hearing
Because
about
a lot of the feelings that I'm seeing towards Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm also seeing towards Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is just like a year later though, so yeah.
See, like, and this is getting slightly off topic. I feel like I'm going to love Chainsaw Man a lot more just because it just panders to all of like my specific like taste. But
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a show that does not pander to any of my like preconceived like likes, still has me loving it a lot. Like there are things like I don't like and I would not write if I was like so like for example if like Hunter x Hunter, there are things that take me out of my comfort zone, but I would totally write if I like if I was like in charge of just writing, if I went back in time and was told to like write Hunter x Hunter, I would not change a single thing about it. If I had to do that with Jujutsu Kaisen, I would change a lot of it, but that is not indicative of its quality at all. That is just me being a hyper shonen fanboy. Taking that out of the equation, so much of that is just really nice.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I agree.
setups, character establishment, action scene. I guess world building in a sense. Like there are a few nitpicks that I have. Like my biggest one is just like contrast. I feel like a lot of the monsters don't really stick out. Like things in this world, in this art style, kind of blend together a bit, in my opinion. And I think that's like the biggest thing that's kind of like hitting me. Like if you look at Bleach,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Okay,
in
that's
terms
a
of
good. I was gonna ask you about Bleach, so you can go ahead.
like in terms of color palettes, like if you look at Bleach, all the hollows have very strong and contrasting like color like styles. Like the black contrasts so strongly and so perfectly with a white, they just pop out to your eye. Ichigo's like jet black kimono, coupled with his like bright orange hair and his like super huge sword, pops out really hard. And the fact that all the
So you're
characters,
saying, popping out from the world.
yes,
Okay, and you're saying in Jujutsu Kaisen the demons don't pop out from the world as much.
yeah, they. It's gonna feel. This is gonna sound really weird, but it
Mm-hmm.
feels, and this is both a personal criticism and I would say a objective praise of it, that the monsters in Jujutsu Kaisen feel like they belong too much inside the world. Like the way their color combines and mixes with the environment,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they naturally belong in it, and
Mm-hmm.
they feel normal, which is kind of weird
I
to
see.
say. Like if you look at the
Yeah, I.
hollows, they feel like
Mm-hmm.
they feel like an event. They feel like something special,
Right.
something abnormal. The monsters in Jujutsu Kaisen, they're obviously abnormal. They're obviously weird and spectacular. But their color design mixed with the backgrounds make them feel, in my opinion, mundane. But I would also say that it's kind of a point to like the world building where you have these really crazy monsters that just feel really natural in their environments.
Yeah, I. That's something I didn't notice, and yeah, I think that's a good point. And I would also say I don't know if it's on. I feel like it could be on purpose
Mm-hmm.
because if I think about in Bleach, the nature of the monsters. What were they called again in Bleach? The
Hollows.
Hollows. The nature of the Hollows is that they would show up from their world and they would attack people. So it makes sense that they would like stand out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the nature of the curses here in Jujutsu Kaisen is that they appear as a result of the environment that they're in, and they don't even like to leave that environment. So it would make sense to me that the curses in Jujutsu Kaisen would blend in a lot more with their environment because they're created by it and like they they're part of it really, you know.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I will say this again. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen isn't my specific art taste, but
Mm-hmm.
the style it's going for, I would say it just like I have seen very few animes that have not only a unique style but
Mm.
exhibit such a strong mastery of said style than Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Especially if you look at some of like the color drawings from the manga,
Mm-hmm.
it's even more distinct from the anime. The anime kind of like made it a little bit more like normie
Mm-hmm.
ish, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if you look at the check out the manga art style, it's even more different. Like it's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, and I like the character designs a lot. That's actually something I was going to ask you. How do you feel about the character designs for these characters?
So, I like them a lot. So one thing I've always sort of been fascinated by was the idea of uniforms, and one thing I always actually do have a soft spot for is when character artists or artists in general establish a specific uniform set for their characters, but despite
Hmm.
them all wearing the same uniform, is able to make them all stand out and pop from each other. And
Yeah.
they do an incredible job of that. It's so funny how just add like making main characters. What was his name? Main character's name?
The Say the name. Say the color of his hair.
Pink hair.
Oh, Yuji.
Yuji. Yeah, it's funny how just adding that one red around his neck makes his
Hmm.
character design just pop so much and adds just so much to him. And that's something I've always sort of criticized Black Clover about, is that they go for a uniform style, but all the characters like blend in together a little bit much. Like there are varying sizes and varying like silhouettes, But the characters in Black Clover don't like they don't their uniform they don't. So the great thing I like about uniforms is it's a really good way to sort of just highlight a character's individuality because the
Mm-hmm.
uniformity of the uniform gives a
Gives you an
really
opportunity.
it gives everyone
Yeah.
a base, and everything you add on top of it just adds more to the character. Whereas if you have something like
Yeah.
JoJo's, like the fact that like Jujutsu Kaisen's character designs, like imagine a flat bar with a bunch of like things stacked on top of it, and each of those stacks is like the characterization of each
Yeah,
cast
because
member.
it's like yeah, because it's like with something like a uniform, it's like okay, it's a uniform. Everyone has to wear this, but then it gives an opportunity to really show what the character is like because every single thing that the character does to modify that uniform is a conscious as like a reader or as a watcher it's a conscious decision they made to look that way and that tells you about their character.
Right.
Although for Yuji, it seems like that's not the case because it seems like Gojo specially ordered his uniform to have that hood. And
Yeah.
that's also something I was going to ask you. Do you think there is some I'm like I would put money on saying that that hood has some sort of special property or something that maybe helps him to seal um uh what's his name again?
Sukin.
Sukuna, yeah, it
Yeah,
helps him to
Sukuna.
seal Sukuna more easily. What do you think?
So I think that is a strong guess. Like the jokester, a wannabe abridger in me was thinking
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so this is like a insurance measure. If everything gets like really bad, he'll be the first one to get hit, and we get rid of those like cursed Sukuna fingers. Because honestly, like
Yeah.
that's like Batman wearing all black and having Robin wear like bright red. It just makes him a literal target.
Yeah, that's true.
The other part of
Or maybe, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
oh no, the other part of me was just thinking like it was just like a conscious decision on the manga Ka's part to sort of just like give him a quick way, like to give a quick way to like make the character stand out a bit.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's like killing two birds with one stone. So I definitely think one reason is definitely to make Yuji stand out as the main character, but the other reason I think it has some sort of plot reason. And another possibility I just thought of is maybe it's like some sort of device that it doesn't like necessarily have any power by itself, but it's something that only Gojo can control
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe like he's able to if it ever seems like Yuji's gonna get out of control,
Mm-hmm.
Gojo through that hood or whatever can like um it like
Reel him in.
do do something to like to reel him in like you said.
Right.
And I think that would also make sense just because I mean, okay, this is a shonen story, so things don't always have to be like super logical.
Mm-hmm.
But logically speaking, it's still kind of crazy that you're gonna have this kid that you just met off the street come to this school, eat the fingers of like the most powerful demon ever known, and you're just gonna let him run around and take him on his word that he'll be able to control him. I would feel like you would like if I was Gojo, if I was the principal, I would be like, we still need to have some measures to control him if necessary.
On top of the fact of him just like on his literal second mission, sending him into a literal red zone unattended.
Yeah. The fact that they sent him when you're saying second mission, are you talking about in episode 4 when
Yeah.
those three went without Gojo? Okay, yeah, that's pretty. And the whole reason about how we're short staffed. I was like, oh yeah, that's that's really convenient, and I don't hate them for it because
Mm-hmm.
like
It
I'm
makes
currently
sense.
writing a story, and yeah, I'm currently writing a story, and I've pretty much with baked into the story is like ways for me to not have to create more characters. So like basically in my story I'm like, yeah, there's only like these many characters because it's a small town. Like and
Hmm.
that's just it is what it is. And sorry, too bad, right? So it's the same thing with them. Like, yeah, we're short staffed, so you know, you guys. Plus, also, it's also a really good. I think it's a good storytelling device to I guess to I guess to not keep people bored, right? Because
Right.
unless you're Togashi,
Hmm.
I the only person I've seen who can make small things super interesting, like stealing a badge or something, is Togashi, right?
Right.
So if you're gonna keep it interesting, you want to have the characters going up against really strong opponents quickly, and I guess the best way to do that is to say, "Hey, we're short staffed.
Mm.
Your sensei is off doing something more important. You three have to go and handle this, right?" And so it makes it interesting because jump right in. Same thing with Naruto. When I think about it, their
Mm.
first mission, it was supposed to be like a C rank mission or something, but then the guy tricked them, and it was actually an A rank mission, and it's just like, you know, they do it just for that. I
Right.
don't mind it because I think
It
there
works.
we'll get into it, but I think it worked very very well, especially in terms of like power scaling. This
Hmm.
was so this was this episode 4 specifically was just some beautiful power scaling. That it's just like
Yes.
that meathead shit that I just live for, you know.
Honestly, like,
Um,
okay,
yeah.
so quick thoughts about episode 3, because episode 4 was really definitely the highlight. I love how much of a great job the writer is doing characterizing everyone. The
Yes.
new
Especially
female character,
Nobara.
yeah, they did such a good job with her in that episode. Not only establishing her abilities, her strengths, her weaknesses, her backstory, and motivation all in one episode. That
Yeah.
and backstory, like
I love
freaking
her. Yeah.
props.
It that was just beautiful. Everything just yeah, it was she's such a great character. And when I was watching the episode, I was like, when I'm going to talk about her as a character, the thing that's coming into my mind is I wanted to say she's different from other female characters that you see in shonen, but I can't really describe why. And I was going to say it's because she gets more excited, but I don't know if that's exactly right. I don't really know how to. She seems more willing to engage in like the comedy aspect of it. Maybe that's what it is. What do you think?
Is two things. She's a much more active protagonist. Like she has a way more clear character specific, and I'm going to say I want to say selfish goal, but it's a goal for her that
Yeah.
she has, and you don't see that with many other shonen characters like Sakura, Ochako from My Hero Academia. Like she had an active goal, but it was for someone else. It wasn't
Yeah.
for her.
Huh. Yeah.
Even like I don't no one in Dragon Ball Z, no one in Bleach. And the other thing is, like, on top of having like active goals and being an active character, is like you said, she actively engages in the nonsense.
Yeah.
On top of that is she's a strong character. Like
Yeah.
she isn't like the girl character. Like
Yeah.
she isn't just there to like fit the female diversity quota.
I would say there are many shonen girl characters who are strong, but those other
Yes.
things, I agree, especially about her not her having a motivation that has nothing to do with other people. I think that's probably very unique. And also I figured out how to put into words. She anytime there's a girl character and there's like comedy and gags, the girl character is most of the time like the straight man, but she
Yep.
is the joke. Like she is in the joke. And that's I don't think that's very common, you know. So
It's so refreshing.
yeah, it's really refreshing. She's a great character. She was definitely I mean, she was literally the highlight of episode 3, but yeah. Yeah.
Again, like so many props, and I like it. I like it when writers do this. Like there is merit to like. I feel like there is story method merit to keeping a character's backstory vague, but there's not much emotional merit. Like with Dragon Ball Z, you had like the main characters fight the main villain for like, I'm referring to Jiren, for like hours and hours and episodes, and they finally get his backstory near the end, and it's just like, oh, so that's what he was about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with like Demon Slayer. I'm sorry I keep bringing that up. Like I have such mixed feelings on it, but it was like the Spider Kid. Like you find out his backstory only at the end as sort of like a real quick way to sort of drum up emotion. But with her, you see that with even like the other protagonists. But with her, it's just like you learn everything about her at the very start. You understand who she is, and in that way, every single change, every single moment of growth, it sticks so much more because you have a clear idea of who she originally was and what she was originally fighting for.
But with that said, did you get the sense that there was more to it? Because I got that sense.
I feel like there's some openness to it. I think they could go a route of mystery with the girl who originally moved to her town. Mm-hmm. But I feel like as it is, this is a perfectly solid start and a great character foundation for her.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess now at this point we just don't know Megumi's backstory, but I'm sure we'll get that at some point. Especially since he's obviously getting set up to be like the rival, I guess, to Yuji. So I'm sure that's going to be in some big moment later on.
Also, the ending to episode 3, that was a dick ending. They are jerks.
Wait, how did it end again?
You remember when they're like filling out the report and it was like this horrible critical event at this prison? 3 Jujutsu wizards came in. And one of them died. Like, seriously, that was the best way to end that episode because I'm so happy I waited 2 weeks because I literally jumped into the second episode like instantaneously.
Well, the arc technically isn't over, so we'll see if, but like it's so obvious. Of course, at this point we know Nobara, she's not dead. She's going to the hospital, so. Mm-hmm. But we know none of them's gonna die. We know that. Like, right. They're all in the posters. Right? So I'm really interested because I feel like it would be kind of lame if they said a character dies and the character doesn't die. So I'm actually very interested to see what actually happens to make that technically be true. I'm very interested to see that. You know what I mean?
All right, $5 at the end of the arc. We're going to continue with that sequence. And you're going to have someone write, and one of the sorcerers died, and then came back and was revived, and everything worked out perfectly fine.
That's the kind of thing that would work in JoJo, but not in this.
Yeah. But also, 4th episode, which is definitely, like, I think my biggest issue and the thing that wasn't really sucking me in with the first 2 was it was just all the setup. Mm-hmm. These 2 episodes are just us in the world and actively moving forward and exploring it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like episode 4 really kicked it up a notch because environments crazy and cool, enemy super cool, Sukuna, star of this show. Oh my god, he is my favorite character.
Sukuna, oh yeah, oh my god. Yeah, like, before I get to Sukuna though, I want to like build up to that because I want to talk about the others first. So like first with Nobara, first of all, earlier you said, she is strong, but I also don't really, I think she's strong, but I'm not a fan of her power. Like, I think it's kind of boring. The voodoo doll thing. I hope we get to see more of it later. And I would also think that, what's his name? Megumi's power would be boring if it weren't for the fact that he could do multiple animals. At first I thought it was just the dog, but it seems like he can do pretty much any animal, which to me makes it much more interesting and much more versatile. What do you think?
I like Megumi's power a lot, but I have to agree with you for Nobara. And I think the reason for that is it feels contradictory to her personality. Like, she has such a large, big personality, but her weapon is just so pedestrian.
Yeah.
Like, it was something like a maybe like a spear or even like an actual larger hammer and nail. I think it
Hmm.
would have worked a lot better.
I just don't. The thing I don't like about it is the fact that she it's the voodoo doll aspect of it. I don't really care about the tool she's using to impale to impale the
Mm-hmm.
voodoo doll. But to me it's the voodoo doll aspect of it because it just seems kind of not good for action in general. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Right.
it seems like it would be kind of boring action wise.
Right.
So yeah, but I do think it's a unique thing though. I don't think I've seen
Mm-hmm.
anything like that before and I like the fact that it seems like it's also in theme. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's this whole thing is about curses and like what makes for a better curse than a voodoo doll. So
Right.
I think I do like that about it. And yeah, I already talked about Megumi's power. But yeah, let's talk about Sukuna. Let's talk about all three, Yuji, and the curse they were fighting. I'm gonna call it demon because it feels weird to call it a curse.
Yeah.
The demon they were fighting, and then Sukuna. So I thought this was just it was just executed so well. This is exactly the type of thing you always want to see at the beginning of a series, especially in shonen. You want to set up the expectations for the world, the power scaling for the world, right? Always, they
Mm-hmm.
always do it, right? They did it so well here because you have pretty much completely noob entry level people going up
Mm-hmm.
against what is supposed to the strongest grade, the special grade curses, right?
They like describe that in such a perfect way. Like I didn't like I was thinking about like I don't want like I'm trying to phrase this not like a to not sound like a jackass, but I was originally like writing a scene like I was originally like ranking like for the thing I was writing like the power levels of characters using like military equipment. It's like rank
Mm-hmm.
1 is an assault rifle and then rank 10 is a tank.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they use that same style in this.
Yeah,
And I love that I now know that it's when executed well, it works really great. Because
yeah,
that's the thing. They never like equate power levels to real world understandable stuff. Like we
exactly.
don't know what over 9,000 means. Like we
Yeah,
don't know what a Hokage is. We don't
yeah.
know what like a class A hero or a class B hero is, but we all
Mm-hmm.
know what an assault rifle is. We all know what a tank is.
Yeah, like the fact that it goes from a bat, it's like okay, I can understand that. I could beat a grade 5 curse. I personally could. If
Mm.
I had a gun, I could beat a grade 2 curse or whatever. And then it goes all the way up to carpet bombing, right? So
Mm.
I think that's yeah, it's really good. And so it also, I mean, it's on so many levels because they explained this in episode 4, but in episode 3 they beat one that was supposedly, she said it was like a grade 3 grade 4, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
gives us a, and they beat it pretty easily, so that gives us kind of like an idea of what their level is at. They're
Right.
definitely probably around like grade 2 minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then now you have them going up against this special grade thing. So you're like, okay, we know that they're stronger than grade 3. Let's see how far away they are from a special grade. And they
Mm.
get completely just blown out of the water. It's that classic situation where they can't even move. You know, they're just like, you know, they're so scared they have no idea what to do. And so it's like, okay, that's special grade. They have a long way to go. That's very clear to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then where it gets really good is when um, Yuji finally switches with Sukuna, because then that gives everything so much more context. Because now
Mm-hmm.
he switches with Sukuna, and now the exact same reaction that the students had when they were facing the demon, that demon has that exact same reaction with Sukuna. So that tells you so much. It tells you even within a special grade class, there can be so much variation And it also just tells you how ridiculously strong Sukuna is, period, as a character.
And
And
what I love.
and there's an even extra layer on that because you remember then that Gojo in episode 1 or episode 2, I don't remember, fought Sukuna and was pretty easily holding his own. So that tells you also the level of Gojo, especially because also he said he could handle him. You believe him now, right? So it's just like, oh, that power scaling is just beautiful. It's beautiful.
It
Like,
truly is.
yeah.
Like, you rarely see power scaling executed very well in, like, shonen. Usually it's just so linear.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's at, like, level 1, and then, like, everyone else is, like, level 10, and then you get, like, one level 5 per arc.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, it's, like you said, so well crafted. And honestly, I love Sukuna so much. Like, he he takes control, and he's like, okay, how can I ruin this dick's life?
I like.
And he just like turns to like the demon's like, hey, let's go kill some kids.
That's a whole other aspect of it. One, the fact that he's just like so nonchalant and he's so chill. Another is the other part of his personality, which is he's not like he's not single minded, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, he kind of is just having fun in all of this, right? And he just like, he doesn't like, his top priority is not necessarily escaping or whatever. His top priority is like getting back at this kid who's just like, who's been pissing him off all this time. You know, that's funny. That's funny. And the fact that it also just shows that he thinks. He's not like some brain dead villain who just will do the predictable thing. He's like, what would be the most annoying thing to him right now, you know?
Right. And the best part, and this is something that I was really surprised about, is how they were able to like figure out a way that he wasn't just the instant win button. Because he was literally like, okay, you can switch to me now, but I'm going to murder your friends.
Yeah.
Like, he had to literally wait for his friends to get out of like stabbing distance from him before he could transform.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that aspect too. That part of it too was just great. Oh, and there was one more thing. Now that you reminded me about them having to escape, when Nobara got lost and she was about to get eaten by that thing, that was just like such a great moment where like she's literally about to die and she's like, I'm gonna remember your face and I'm gonna haunt you. Like, that's just
after taking down an entire army of those mofos.
Yeah, like she's the best. She's a great character. But yeah, Juju, like the way I'm feeling about this show right now is I do not even want to wait for episode 5. I just want to start reading the manga right now. I want more right now. Like, I do not want to wait. It's so good. It's so good.
And the best part about it is it's not even like being carried by the animation. Like when we were watching like Tower of God or even like Attack on Titan, I'm like, this is really, or yeah, Tower of God, this is really great, but I don't know.
Are you talking about God of High School?
Yeah, God of High School.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like, man, I should read the manga or webtoon, but I would miss out on the crazy animation and stuff.
Yeah.
Like with this, it's like Attack on Titan where like the animation is literally the cherry, everything else is literally the cake. Everything like from the manga is literally the cake and the icing.
Yep. Yeah. It doesn't need it. It really doesn't. It's just that good. This show is awesome. It's awesome.
Thank God it's getting a good adaptation. Oh my God.
Yeah, honestly. But yeah, I think there is one more thing I want to ask you, which is maybe I asked you this last time though. I'm not sure. Tell me if I did. But do you feel like Yuji and Sukuna are going to become friends?
This is shonen, and I'm gonna say yes. Like, okay. When I was, like, Sukuna isn't, like... It's like you said, he isn't, like, a single-minded, like, brute or monster. Like, he feels like a rational human, and I feel like they're going to get to a point where it's just like, this kid's pretty cool. I guess I'll deal with him.
he
And it feels like
definitely
them.
seems like not only does he have the capability of becoming friends with them, but he actually seems like their personalities are kind of compatible.
Yeah, like it feels like the whole big fight scene. It feels like an inevitable conclusion for this would be a big fight scene where they're like perfectly working together in sync.
Here's an even better question. I just thought of this and I really like this theory and I actually hope it happens. What if it
Mm.
turns out that Sukuna is good? And what if it turns out that like the the sorcerer or cursor or whatever they're called, the school or whatever, that whole association is actually the bad side, and like all those years ago, like 1,000 years ago, when they fought and defeated Sukuna, they were actually Sukuna was actually trying to save the world or something, and like he was good the whole. I would love that. That would be so good. What do you think?
To be fair, good guys don't go out to casually kill kids.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yes, but you can be. I was about to say you can be good and want to kill kids. You can. I guess you can be
The world
good.
isn't black and white. There's just like a bunch of shades of gray, and like the whole like killing kids, I guess, can be in that gray zone.
I guess what I meant to say is, I feel like you can have good characters with sadistic personalities. I can't think of
Yeah,
any examples right now, but I'm sure there are, and I feel like it could work. Like,
it could work
yeah,
really well, actually.
yeah. And I that's just the vibe I get from it. Because right now, maybe the reason I came up with this thought is because right now I like Sukuna too much, and I legitimately don't even want him to die at this. I actually just like
Me
him
neither.
as a character, and
Yeah,
I don't want him to be bad. I actually would want him to be good. So that's why I was thinking that.
like Gojo and Sukuna are like the two top tier characters for me right now.
Yeah, it would be so great if it turned out Gojo was evil and Sukuna was like good. I would love that. That would be the
Yeah,
best, flip ever. It would be great.
totally.
But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. These last two episodes were great, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. I honestly,
Mm.
I'll be honest. It's a very good thing that I have other stuff to keep me occupied right now, because
Mm-hmm.
if not, I would have a very hard time stopping myself, and I might still have a hard time stopping myself from going to the manga at some point later, because it's too good right now. It's too good.
Right. Okay, final rating.
Oh, I would give both of these episodes 3 and 4 8.5. Or actually, I would give 3 and 8, and I would give 4 and 8.5.
I would give them. Okay, if I'm just like instinctually being driven by hype, I would say a 9.
Hmm.
But if I'm being super honest and super critical, I would have to give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I feel like also for me, if I'm driven by hype, I would have probably given a 9.5. But usually, what happens when I give a score is that a day later, after the hype dies down, I'm like, yeah, no, I usually feel like bumping it down one. So I'm just doing
Right.
that preemptively now. Because I definitely don't think I would give it a 7. I think it's
Oh yeah.
absolutely easily an 8 territory. So,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Definitely. All right. That was our review of Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 3 and 4. Tune in next time we review episode 5. Until then, stay safe and we'll see you next time.